What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another weekly episode of the Standing Room Only podcast. Myself, Goose. As always, I'm here with Healy. Just a reminder, we are on Apple. We are on Spotify. We're on YouTube as well, Standing Room Only podcast. You can find our social media. We are SR Only Pod. We are on Instagram. We are on Twitter. We tend to stay interactive these days. We put out polls. Got a lot to talk about in this episode. Quite a bit. Not a whole lot, but quite a bit. Enough. We got the NBA Finals still going on. We got a 2-1 series there. We got the Home Run Derby tonight. We also have a minor recap of the UFC pay-per-view, UFC 264, I believe, with McGregor, the unfortunate. You can find me. I'm iGoose with 4 O's. I am on Twitter, Twitch, and Instagram. You can find Healy as well.
You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at theHealy6. So 3 games have been played in the NBA Finals. Phoenix Suns took a 2-0 lead. They won the games they're supposed to. In Milwaukee, they won the game that they were supposed to already at home last night. Earlier episode in the week for us. But 3 games so far. I know Dustin has a lot he wants to talk about. I'll let him take the floor.
So the last time we talked, Phoenix took a commanding 1-0 lead. Like it was a good win. It was a good victory. Why? Well, the Bucks didn't show up. Giannis, it was his first game back. Put up 11 shots only. CP3 went off for, I don't know, and has been going off. But there was one factor where I said, Bucks are a better team. So game 2, Phoenix won again. Devin Booker, though, who in game 1, and this is what I was talking about primarily, had a bad shooting performance, managed to go to the line about 10 times. The points, when you look at points, he did good. Game 2, he did pretty good. He was lights out, actually. He was the best shooter on the floor. Could not be stopped. Giannis, they had a couple switches. Giannis couldn't stop him. Phoenix won game 2, but Milwaukee came back in that game multiple times. They allowed Milwaukee to come back multiple times. Phoenix winning both games at home, it was key. The home teams are the favorite so far, and that's how it's been in the playoffs. Milwaukee, game 3, was the favorite. They end up winning huge by 20. I think it was 20 points exactly.
Yeah,
I only know that because my parlay, I gave an alternative spread on my parlay for 15.5 plus 15.5 for Phoenix. All they had to do was cover 15.5, 16 points. They didn't do it. That was like a 23-leg parlay. I only lost 3. All you need is to lose 1. It's unfortunate. The Bucks have another 4.5 point spread. They're the favorite again, obviously, because they're home. And I don't think it's just because they're home. The way I look at this game, it is a must-win situation for not only Milwaukee, because they're going to be down 3-1 if they lose, or 1-3, if you will. Phoenix does not want to go into Game 5 tied 2-2. For one, we already saw Milwaukee go down 0-2 against Brooklyn, and we saw what happened. 2, Giannis. Giannis is, I'm not going to say he's 100% on his leg, but he's giving it his all. Chris Middleton, he had a quiet 18 points. The first half, he actually was really good. Drew Holiday, I think, ended up having over 20 points in the last game. Milwaukee made the right adjustments. My biggest thing is going to come down to the man who is drawing comparisons to Kobe, to what would Kobe tell you if you were in the game, get the job done. The man who's getting a lot of the spotlight when in all reality is being carried by Chris Paul. I'm talking about Devin Booker. Let's talk about Devin Booker a little bit. I talked a lot about him in the last episode. Phoenix should not have beaten the Clippers. A full, healthy Clippers would have beaten Phoenix in at least 6 games, if not 7. I'll give Phoenix as a good team. And a lot of basketball fans are going to tell me I'm a casual. Just listen. Those who are riding on the Devin Booker bandwagon, if you will. In the conference finals, there were 6 total games. Phoenix won 4-2. In 4 games, Devin Booker shot under 40% from the field. Multiple games where he got to the line a lot, quite a bit. We see it with Trae Young. 3 games under 15% from the field. One of those games he went like 0 for 5. 0. This is your shooting guard. The NBA Finals, we are 3 games in. 2 games already under 40%. Game 1, he shoots 12.5% from 3. I think he was like 1 for, I don't know, whatever that averages out to, 1 for 6, 1 for 7. Last game, 14%. Took him out pretty much in the fourth quarter. Phoenix gave up. DeAndre Ayton was in foul trouble. They gave a lot of playing time to Cameron Payne down the stretch. Phoenix plays good basketball. Monty Williams is a good coach. It took a minor adjustment and Devin Booker to have a bad shooting performance for this team to crumble. Jay Crowder made up for it. He made like 6 threes. Jay Crowder's, that's not his role. I mean, it is technically, if you really think about it. He's there. He can shoot the ball. But to me, the way Milwaukee played in game 3, and at times when they had those minor comebacks in game 2, they only lost by 10 when it should have been a blowout. Phoenix is in a must-win situation. I'm scared for Phoenix. Giannis cannot be stopped, especially how well he plays at home. But then on top of that, he shot 13 of 17 from the free throw line yesterday. He only turned the ball over 1 time. This was another stat. They only had 9 turnovers in this whole game. Phoenix had 14. That's 5 more turnovers. I don't know what the points off the turnovers are. I didn't go that deep into it. But those are some big factors. DeAndre Ayton gets into foul trouble. Phoenix is in a must-win situation. It's as clear as day. I don't think you want to face a Milwaukee team that is very streaky with their big 3 is a big 3. Phoenix, they have a big 3 developing. I love Chris Paul. Chris Paul's balling out. Devin Booker is scary. Any night he can go off for 40 points. And I mentioned this before. He's a good basketball player, but he's not consistent. And DeAndre Ayton, he might go off for 12 and 15 or 20 and 15, or in the next game he might go for 10 and 8.
Yeah, Chris Paul, he's going to be efficient no matter what.
Yep.
The big that after seeing Devin Booker only put up 10, you can't have less than 20 game. You have to put up more than 20. I think the big reason why the Bucks were able to get that 20-point lead and keep it, though, is, as you mentioned, DeAndre Ayton in foul trouble. They need DeAndre Ayton on the floor to stop or at least neutralize Giannis. We've seen Giannis drop back-to-back 40-point games, even with Ayton being out there. But that's probably because he gets the switch onto someone else. It's a bunch of fast break points that Giannis can get. He gets the matchups. But when Ayton isn't on the floor, you have 0 chance of pretty much stopping Giannis. Who are you going to have out there? Frank Kaminsky? 24 minutes from Ayton isn't enough. You're going to have him play 30+. The Phoenix Suns did almost come back, though. There was a stretch in the third quarter, though, where they got within like 6 points. Cameron Johnson yammed it on someone. He flew. You had Jay Crowder hitting threes, but both teams just weren't missing. And then eventually the Milwaukee Bucks won on a nice break. They won that quarter 38-31. And from there on out, it was a game. But Phoenix, they got so close, but the Bucks did a good job at keeping pace and then stopping them.
Yeah. Third quarter was great. For one, I was happy because, again, my parlay was looking juicy. I mean, I want bare minimum. I did alternative spreads for everything. It was great. Phoenix is coming back. Everybody's got to stay on the court. As soon as they took Chris Paul off the court, Milwaukee went on another huge run. And it amazes me at the impact Chris Paul has on both sides of the ball. Because Cameron Payne gets in there, and he's I mean, let's face it, he hasn't played as many games. I know he's been in the league for a little bit, but he just hasn't played as many games. And he's just a little, he's like out there. It's like, I don't want to say a free fall when he's out there, but like it just doesn't, it's not fluent. It's just, he runs, he tries the floater, he runs, he's not passing out. Another big factor too, Michael Bridges went from a 27-point game to only shooting the ball like 4 times. That
Mm-hmm.
was a little odd to me, and that could be because of a defensive adjustment by Milwaukee. Um, but yeah, I mean, you said it best. DeAndre Ayton has to stay on the court. I think, and it was funny because the announcers were comparing it, and they were Jay Crowder. I don't think they realized it was a pun. They were like, Crowder plays a very crowding defense. He's sticking Giannis tight, and Giannis was able to blow by him off the dribble, off the first step. They're like, DeAndre Ayton gives him a couple feet because DeAndre Ayton's like, he's not gonna come and yam it on me, but also let him shoot the mid range or the long mid range because he's not an efficient shooter. Like that's just how it is. So a lot of things that went the Bucks' way, they basically got what they wanted out of that. I mean, even with like you said, with the Phoenix comeback, they were keeping up, they were shooting with them, and then as soon as Paul came off the court, we saw Drew Holiday had a nice little takeover for a little bit. I just don't think Phoenix is. I like Phoenix. I love Cam Johnson. I think Cam Johnson's going to have a great career in the future. But Bobby Portis kind of matches up with Cam Johnson. It's a good matchup, but I still think Milwaukee overpowers the Phoenix Suns at the end of the day.
Yeah. And Game 5 tomorrow. Gonna be a must-watch game. Game 5 tomorrow. The MLB All-Star Game tomorrow. It's just a great week for sports.
Game 5 is Wednesday. They have an extra day.
Game 4. Game 4 is
I'm sorry, game
Wednesday.
4. Game 4, I'm sorry. Yes, is Wednesday.
What?
I know. I thought it was Tuesday.
This is one of those weird, like, all right, so it is Wednesday. This is one of those weird, like, it's weird brackets again. Like NBA, you can never predict. They're like, all right, let's do 3 days off here, 4 days off here. Oh, let's just play back to back here for
Yeah,
the finals.
yeah, we've talked about it before, and we always wondered like why do some teams get the extra the extra day, and some teams don't. It's a weird
Mm-hmm.
thing, and it's weird because they're not traveling; they're still in Milwaukee. So
Yeah,
I'm
it's
gonna be in Wisconsin. I hope I can watch the game. Oh man,
so from here on out, it is Wednesday. Then you got Saturday, Monday, and next Wednesday or next Thursday. Oh wait. So it's my bad. Let me redo this. You got Wednesday, you got Saturday, you got Tuesday, and then you got Thursday. Are you just trying to hit every day of the week with these 7
that's
games?
that's so weird. Well, it's the NBA for you and their scheduling. And then it goes right into the off season because the season obviously got started late and it's being pushed. The season would have been done by now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited though. I'm a fan. I've actually enjoyed the finals so far. I hate that it's been a blowout one way or the other, but yeah, it's a must win. If Phoenix loses, and I said this in the beginning, the Bucks are the better team. Phoenix can take the first 2 games, but they better hope to take a game from Milwaukee in Milwaukee. I
Mm-hmm.
am still going strong with Milwaukee Bucks winning the finals.
Yeah. After seeing past couple of games from Milwaukee, cannot really rely on home court with a 2-2 series for the
Yep,
Suns. Milwaukee will take one of those home games at some point.
I believe so. A game 7 would be awesome. That would be cool. A game 7 in Phoenix. That would be, I think, Giannis versus. I just my thing is Devin Booker. I mean, he's one of those guys. He has a killer instinct. I just don't think it's there yet. It's like when Kobe, once he got to the mid 20s, he was good. Once he got to the mid 20s, Shaq was gone. Then all of a sudden you're like, okay, he's got this killer instinct. He's hitting game winners against Phoenix. He's hitting all these game winners. He's going up for 81. He's doing all these things, but this is like Devin Booker's still young,
This is like a
And
2012 like Thunder team where they were like good, but obviously they weren't matured enough and like their game wasn't as fine tuned for like the fine.
I think that's a very good comparison.
It's like
Minus
right
Chris
now,
Paul.
yeah,
Yeah.
minus Chris Paul, but like back then, Durant, Westbrook, Harden, they were all great, but they were
Yeah.
all super young at the time. Where if you put them together now, they would be really good. It'd be really,
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah, exactly. Well, two of them are together.
Yeah, and I get Giannis, like he's not like the 32-year-old. He's still kind of young in his own way, but this Bucks team is definitely more matured.
Yeah, absolutely. They have enough role players to kind of keep the pieces rolling, if you will. Chris Middleton plays like a veteran. I mean, he's mid-20s, maybe late 20s. He plays like he's been in the league forever. He's smooth. He's smooth.
Yeah, and at home, he actually played well. It's weird. His home, it's like he's like a Colorado Rockies player. At home, he's great. On the road, he's just not there. Chris Middleton is 29. He turns 30 in a month.
Okay, so we'll say he's 29 because I'm getting to that age where if you call me 30 and I'm 29, we're probably gonna box in the back. So we'll say he's 28 for right now, or no, he's turning 30. Let's say he's 29 right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean he like literally he had a couple steals on some errant passes that were just like down court. Saved one from going out of bounds. Drew, like I like the way, and Bobby Portis is bringing this weird energy off the bench. He's playing hard. He's playing with purpose. I mean, I'm only saying that because like obviously in Chicago he like had good games, but you're in Chicago, the team was bad. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what happens moving forward.
Yeah, next week we will probably be talking about the NBA Finals winner.
It's
Next week's
possible.
episode, there's going to be 3 games that pass. So unless it's a game 7, we might have to post. If there is a game 7, we might have to postpone the podcast until that game is finished. But if it
Yeah.
ends before game 6 or earlier, we'll have the podcast. We'll go over exactly who wins and basically recap the remainder of the series and our thoughts on that. Into the MLB news, we are going to be talking about baseball. Yesterday was the draft. I don't know much about the draft. I don't know if Dustin knows much about the draft, but it was definitely cool. They had it on YouTube, they had it on MLB Network, and they did a very good job. Like, these guys aren't going to be in the bigs for 4 to 5 years. A majority of them. They're going to get drafted. You'll see them maybe go through the ranks, but it's cool how they did have all this coverage. They invited a lot of the prospects out, and we are able to like learn about them now instead of them being like, all right, they're a top 10 prospect in baseball. Like, the hype's already there behind them. And you can
Hmm.
follow an individual guy now. Maybe he gets drafted to your favorite organization. Maybe it's someone that you liked in college, and learn and hop on the bandwagon beforehand. And learning about them now, we could maybe see like what went wrong with guys and follow the minor leagues more in general.
Yeah, there was a lot of coverage on that actually. Um Watching ESPN this morning, they had the ticker for they were doing top 10. And a lot of the guys that I follow in the community, they were talking quite a bit about the picks. I know there's some of the guys out there are big Mets fans, some Red Sox fans, and for me as a Sox fan, I know that they went and grabbed a shortstop. I can't even remember his name now. Super young. It's like
Mm-hmm.
19 years old. My first thing is, oh man, they got a 19-year-old who's a stud. What does that mean for TA7? But then I'm thinking, I'm like, wait, baseball, they let these guys develop for years and years. So
Yeah,
there's no effect there.
you don't know what your team's gonna look like. Yeah, there's people like, we already have Carlos Correa at shortstop. We already have like the Red Sox drafted a shortstop, I
Yeah.
believe, and they're like, we have Sander Bogarts. What are we gonna do? It's like, dude, shortstops are the most athletic people. They generally switch positions. Jacob
Yeah.
deGrom drafted as a shortstop. Trevor Hoffman drafted as a shortstop.
Wait,
Like
Trevor Hoffman? Hell's Bells,
yes,
Trevor Hoffman?
yeah. These guys
What?
get drafted and then they play other positions. Bryce Harper, catcher. Josh Donaldson, a catcher.
Hmm.
Like these guys, if they are good, they will find a position.
Yeah, those are ball players right there. That's Jace DeGrom. I didn't know. Can you imagine him playing shortstop? Nobody would ever be like no infield hits ever. Dude already
Mm-hmm.
throws 102. That's nuts. But yeah, and that's the thing too. It's not like any other sport. Rookies in the NBA starting, NFL starting right away, baseball. It's funny because when you look at a lot of guys, sometimes they play professional leagues in another country, Cuba, Korea, Japan. Those guys that come over, you're like, they're 31 and this is their first season in the MLB. That's kind of old for a rookie. Well, they played elsewhere. But
Mm-hmm.
when you look at these other guys who were born and bred and in the States and they played high school, they get drafted. They might even go to college, get drafted. A lot of Vanderbilt guys. These guys, you got to look at those minor league stats because it's always there. If you look at the major league stats, you're like, man, they're just starting off at 26 and they're this good.
Yeah.
No, you got to look at what they've been doing through high A and double A, triple A, all that. So there's a lot to it, and that's how you learn who is and who isn't really fit. Baseball is probably, I would say, the most competitive when it comes to. I mean, their draft is huge. It's not a 2 rounds like the NBA. It's not
No.
7 rounds like the NFL. There's multiple rounds and so many guys at different positions. So it always takes time with these things. So I'm excited to see what happens though with this new next generation.
Yeah, and as I said, you get to learn about these guys and pick favorites early on. So that was happening. Tonight is the home run derby. You watch it, I believe, on like ESPN. They normally host it, whatever. I saw that you can download an app. It's like MLB AR, augmented reality, which I might have to download that app. That might be cool. The home run derby's tonight. All-Star game is tomorrow. A lot of big bats in the lineup for the home run derby. A lot of lefties, which they hit well at Coors, and the balls are not being in the humidor this year, so they are gonna be flying. I think
There's
the
an
over
over under.
518 for the farthest hit ball, right?
Well, I didn't know that. I think Shohei has his over under is, I think it's like 500 and a half. So like 501 or something like that on FanDuel. So I don't see how that wouldn't be an over when he's hit multiple balls, like practically right there. And they're in Colorado where the balls just fly anyways. And I didn't even know
Mm-hmm.
that about the ball change. So we might see some go like 530,
The,
525.
the over under for like maxed hit ball is 518 and a half.
It's gonna happen. That's an over. I feel like that's an over all day.
Mm-hmm. I might have to take a look at like FanDuel after this and look at prop bets if they have them on. Just make some.
Oh yeah. Who
So,
who do you so there's the bracket, right? You got the
mm-hmm.
bracket. So you got Shohei versus Soto, which to me is an incredible first round. So the first round is Shohei versus Juan Soto. You have Salvador Perez versus Pete Alonso. You have Joey Gallo versus Trevor Story. You have Matt Olson versus Trey Mancini.
I
Who do
don't know if
you
I could like
have?
pick one.
I don't know if I could either. So like naturally I love Shohei and I feel like he's the easy pick to win it all. But then again, it's like, dude, he can lose to Juan Soto. Like Juan
Yeah.
Soto is incredible. Like we've seen him
Yeah.
launch them.
He's only in the 8th spot because the seeding is based off how many home runs you have at the moment. And Juan
Oh,
Soto has the least out of all of them. That's why.
that's crazy. Well, that makes sense. I mean, that definitely makes sense. That to me, that's a fun first round though. I like that. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
personally think that my least favorite that I'm not gonna pick to win will probably be like Salvador Perez, even though he's obviously a pretty solid home run hitter.
Yeah.
He would be my least favorite.
I think my safe bet looking at the bracket is going to be Joey Gallo. We know all he does is hit nukes. He casually hits 450 bombs whenever he homers. In his bracket, he goes up against Trevor Story, who plays in Colorado. He might have an advantage because since he plays in Colorado, he might not get winded as quick. That's a factor. That's an underrated factor at the
Oh,
moment, them getting winded. But Joey Gallo, I think he'll be able to put him out. And then also the next two people he could go up against, Matt Olson and Trey Mancini. Mancini's cool. I don't know if he has that pop to last. Matt Olson, I think it'll be him against Matt Olson. I just feel like Gallo would end up hitting more. Matt Olson crushes balls as well, but I think Gallo is the safest bet to get to the finals. That whole left side of the bracket with Otani, Soto, Perez, and Alonso, I don't know if I could pick one because you got Otani and Soto. That's a toss-up right there. I think
yep.
it will be Otani because all he has to do is just match Soto, and then he just has to one-up him. But Pete Alonso, he won the Derby a few years ago. Nobody
Yeah.
really picked Alonso to win. So Alonso could do some damage. And I think 3 out of those 4 could just make it to the final round. Easily.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm going
Absolutely.
Gallo. I'm going Gallo.
So you're gonna go Gallo. Okay. So I'm not gonna go Shohei only because I feel like being the lefty hitter, we've seen what he's done all season. I feel like most people are gonna go Shohei. I like Gallo, but you know what? Hold on here. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second here. I'm gonna go with give me the other lefty bat. Let's switch it up. Let's go Matt Olson. Let's go Matt Olson. He's the other
Okay.
lefty bat. Because, I mean, I was going to go like Pete Alonso, but I'm like, I want to see someone new win it. We've seen him win. Shohei's the easy pick. Like, if I had to gamble on it, I'd pick Shohei.
Mm-hmm.
But let's go Matt Olson, if not Shohei.
Also, yeah, that's a solid pick. Like it was either between Gallo or Olson from based off the
Yeah.
bracket how it is. Gallo also 2 for 2 in home run derby career. He won it in high school and he won it in single A. He said he's one and done for the major leagues, so trying to go for 3 for 3 and end his home run derby career.
Ooh, that's a personal three-peat right there. That would be A. Gallo's good. I mean, when it comes to hitting home runs, obviously we know he's one of the best to do it. So, I mean, he very well. I wouldn't be surprised if he's like second favorite. What is he? He's second in the bracket?
Yeah.
Got the second most home runs, so it's possible. And
Yeah,
that starts
definitely.
in the next 45 minutes.
Yeah, so when you're listening to this, the derby is probably going to be over. So, but these are predictions beforehand. The derby has not happened. It's only the pregame stuff happening at the moment. Wanted to record before the derby. That's our predictions on the derby. We're probably going to put out polls. You'll see them if you follow us on social media already. I'll retweet them on my personal as well. And then All-Star game tomorrow. It doesn't really matter. Shohei, though, in the derby. I believe he's leading off tomorrow. And he's
Nice.
going to pitch tomorrow as well. So this is just, if you're a baseball fan or just a sports fan in general, this is a key point in history with Shohei Ohtani. This is
This
like
is
a
major.
season. This is a season that you should be watching. Because Shohei, we know he'll pitch and hit for a few more years. The season he's having now is so special.
The fact that he's easily going to go for 40, if not 50 home runs. And I mean, the Angels are not playing bad baseball. They're playing kind of a little bit better than expected. Being without Trout, obviously he's going to be coming back. So definitely tune in. Gotta tune in.
But besides that, all we have to talk about here to round out the podcast, we'll talk a little UFC since we both watched it together. We watched like the whole card.
It was a fun card. It was a fun card. I think the most entertaining, and I don't mean this in a bad way, was the Sean O'Malley fight, that that fight that he had against what was his name even on a
I don't
2 week
know.
Chris Mutino. They both had colorful hair. Sean O'Malley was picking him apart. Should have knocked him out in the first round with the camp that he didn't even have a camp. He was on 2 weeks notice because the first fighter couldn't fight, the fill-in couldn't fight, so he was the third option. He was able to land some punches on Sean O'Malley. That was the most interesting, only because I was like, man, I feel bad for this guy because he's eating these punches, and obviously it's not good for anybody's head. But at the same time, he is gaining the respect of millions of people, all in a 3-round fight. And unfortunately, he got stopped at the end, but it was at the point where probably should have been stopped already. That was the most interesting fight.
Yeah, he was a zombie, dude. He would not stop walking forward. I don't get it. A lot of people lost money too, because like I almost even bet like he would get knocked out first round. That was like a super
First round.
boost on FanDuel. And people probably just bet the TKO or knockout in general for like easy money. And oh my goodness. Well, you got it because there was a stoppage at the end. There shouldn't have
At the
been though.
end. Yeah,
There
yeah,
shouldn't
they
have
should have
been.
let him finish it. That would have a lot of people would have lost big money. I had the parlay, so I couldn't do the super boost in a parlay because they don't let you. So I just did the Sean O'Malley by TKO, McGregor by TKO, which obviously we're going to talk about that because that one was the opposite. Um, Besides that, the other fights were good. They had the women fought. I think it was the or second. It was like the third before the main event. That was a good fight. Um, there was a fight with some dude rolling around. I can't even remember his name. It was his first fight in a while. He just kept rolling and rolling.
Yeah,
And
that one was so weird. Was that even on the main card?
that was
Oh my. Yeah, let's take a look at this then. So, UFC 260. That fight was so bad. I don't get it at
yeah. Oh, you know
all.
what? That one was not on the main card. I
Okay.
lied. Sean
Okay.
O'Malley started the main card. So Sean O'Malley started the main card. It was the fight before that. It was in the prelims. Who was that?
Oh, here we go. Prelims. Carlos Condit, or
No,
was
it
it
was not. It was not Condit. It was
Ryan Hall? Ryan
Ryan
Hall.
Hall. Yes. Oh my
And he
gosh,
got
I love. I
knocked
couldn't think of
out.
his name. He
That
ended up
was
getting
actually
knocked out.
that was like the second fight of the prelim. But man, this guy was just rolling around on the mat the whole time.
He kept trying to catch a leg hook, and it just wasn't. It wasn't for him. It wasn't for him. My favorite, actually, you know what? My favorite fight, which ended in a KO, was Tai Tuivasa against Greg Hardy.
Yeah, that one was great.
Knocked out Greg Hardy. That guy was incredible. He was drinking. He was doing shoe chugs, beer chugs out of shoes. One had the
Hot
Dustin
sauce.
Poirier's hot sauce. Dude was a riot. That is personality you want. You want him to win. So, that's the heavyweight division. He gets the KO on Greg Hardy, who obviously was kicked out of the NFL for beating women. Don't want to talk too much about that, but karma. And then obviously we had the McGregor fight.
Yeah, you put out a poll. You got 100 votes. I don't know when the poll ended. But you got 100 votes. 67 people voted for McGregor, 33 for Poirier. And whoever the majority lost. It was such a shitty stop, dude. It was an unfortunate ending. Gotta admit, we were all like, our hearts were beating that Conor was about to get like knocked out for 2 minutes. They were on the ground. Dustin had him in a good position. He was just pounding him. And Conor was unable to get out for a bit until
You
like
know why
about
they
like the
stood up?
final 40 seconds.
So the only reason why they stood up, so for one, Connor almost got the guillotine on Dustin. He actually almost had it locked. but Dustin was able to somehow hook his foot on the cage, and there's videos of it. He got like, which is kind of illegal. He walked the cage, they called it, to gain leverage and got out of it. And so what McGregor was doing while he was underneath was had his fingers in Dustin Poirier's gloves and kept
Oh,
pulling him in and try to hit him with an up kick. And so Poirier kept saying something to Dean, and Dean's like, I don't see it or whatever. So Dustin let him stand up. He's like, dude, forget it. We're just going to box, which kudos to him. And at that point, he hit McGregor. McGregor was hitting him too. I mean, if you look at total strikes, McGregor landed like 71% to like 60% for Dustin.
mm-hmm.
And then there was a point where he threw a leg kick he threw a kick to Dustin's body. It didn't get checked, but it did catch Dustin's elbow, it looked like. And
Yeah.
that's what people are thinking broke his shin, his tibia.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we saw him step back, and the rest was history. Good. It was entertaining because I feel like Conor could have gotten out of that and they would have stood up. Now, significant strike wise, Dustin was lighting him up.
Yeah.
And
So
we know Conor's jaw isn't.
yeah, it was 36 to 43 total strikes. McGregor had 80% hit. Poirier had 55. But all of Dustin's strikes were significant strikes. So he had 36 compared to 27 for McGregor. Then he had the takedown.
Yeah, calculated. I like to call that those are calculated strikes.
Mm-hmm.
Dustin Poirier is a very, very good fighter. He obviously, I know he lost to Khabib, which obviously most guys did. I mean, nobody really beat Khabib. McGregor, another tough loss. And the one thing about Dustin, he's like, this is how this sport is. And he made a good point. He's like, McGregor, who has only one, beat Donald Cerrone and Nate Diaz or somebody in the last few years.
Yeah, it was Donald Cerrone. He lost 3 or 4, technically now.
Yeah. And so now he's like, you have guys like me or other guys who fight their way up, they lose, and it's a problem for their career. McGregor, because of his stardom and his celebrity status, is able to talk his way because at the end of the day, and McGregor said it best, you need guys like me. What he means is, I will sell out any pay-per-view, and he does. He does. He is the Don King of the UFC, and I mean, he can win any fight. It's just obviously he's proven to have issues taking shots to the face. It's been proven.
Yeah. Well, the last Dustin fight, he almost had Dustin, and then he got one punch to his face, and he was done. This one, I think it would have went at least another round. I think it would have ended in the third, but man, they were going back and forth this fight. Conor had that crazy attitude, which what he had early on in his career, and people love that. And I felt like this time he was better because of that. Last time he was all friendly with Dustin. I think he thought he would easily beat Dustin last time. They were kind of friendly with each other. This time around, he's like, no, I gotta rebound because I'm 1 and 2 in my last 3 fights, which one was to Dustin, another was to Khabib, which are 2 fantastic fighters. We know Khabib undefeated. He's going up against tough competition. It's not like Conor's like losing to guys lower in the whatever, but a fun fight I would want to see now would have to be Conor and Michael Chandler. They're in the same division, right?
Yeah. So Oliviero is the champion.
Yeah.
He beat Chandler. And so it's funny because McGregor was like, yeah, my next fight, assuming he would win, is going to be for the title, which he would get because he's Conor McGregor. But now McGregor's Dr. Stoppage, your wife is in me DMs. Tell him it's a Dr. Stoppage. And Dana White's like, yeah, they're going to fight again. I think, personally, because McGregor's going to be off for 6 to 8 months before he can even train. Saw this with Anderson Silva. Same exact situation. Went to step, Actually, Anderson Silva went to kick and it broke. That was probably more gruesome.
Yeah.
But it took a while to recover. He's not going to be able to fight for at least a year and a quarter. You know what I'm saying? He's not old, which is good. He's not old. He's keeps himself in shape. Seems like he eats well. But in that meantime, Dustin's got to get that title shot.
Definitely.
Dustin, like Charles Oliveira is a very good fighter. Somebody who's worked his way up. He's 31 years old. Give Dustin a shot. Give Dustin a shot. They would fight, I think, at 155.
Mm-hmm.
I think Poirier deserves it. I think, and it's funny because I believe that is going to be the next fight. And what I'm reading right now, Poirier would be opening up as the favorite in that fight.
Ooh.
That's
Okay.
interesting.
Okay.
Oliveira took a beating from Michael Chandler. That first round, Michael Chandler should have won the fight. Michael
Yeah.
Chandler couldn't finish. And
Mm-hmm.
then in the second round, Oliveira, but that's just Oliveira. I mean, some guys can take a beating and then dish it out, and he's one of those guys that can do it.
Yeah. So I do want to see a fourth fight between Dustin and McGregor, but let's get McGregor some hype again. Let's have him just beat the crap out of someone. Just
He needs to
please.
get that. He needs to knock the rust off the training wheels, whatever you want to call it. He's got to get. I don't want to say a tune-up fight because I don't think he needs a tune-up fight.
I think it'll be a
But
couple years. Get him at least a couple different opponents. 'Cause I don't want to see them fight every single time now. I'm a little done with their matchups, but say 3 or 4 years down the road, yeah, sure. Give me a fourth
yeah,
one. Or
I
if it's
agree.
sooner.
He's turning 33 literally in 2 days. So say you do 2 years before he's on a main event card, 35. He doesn't have many fights after that. Maybe he does. I'm not going to take that away. I don't want to like, you know what I'm saying? Because guys can fight until they're 40.
Yeah, I'm seeing guys on the main card and whatnot. They're like 37, 38. And I'm like, wow, okay. I'm not used to
And
the
they move
UFC being
well.
that old.
Yeah, and they're moving well. They're moving extremely well. So I like the new wave, and I want to see McGregor make a comeback. I want to see him make a run at, and that's just, I mean, yeah, I don't want to say I'm not the biggest fan of McGregor. I like McGregor. I think he's a good fighter. I love his attitude. He's got that WWF '90s attitude era about him. He knows how to sell tickets. But I respect the hell out of these other guys, Dustin Poirier especially. I mean, I wasn't upset. I was more upset that that's how the fight ended, and now we're gonna miss like McGregor's out. Like we're talking about a generational fighter is out for like a year. So I am disappointed there, but I'm happy for Dustin Poirier. He deserves. He
Yeah.
literally decided to take this trilogy when he could have won and just fought for the title or started
Mhm.
preparing for the title. So, I mean, he talks it and he backs it up. So
Yeah. Yeah. UFC can be exciting the next few years. Some of these guys that are finally getting title shots.
Sean O'Malley, give him a title shot.
Dude, so I saw a TikTok with O'Malley. He's on TikTok. He posts a
Oh
lot of
yeah.
them.
Oh yeah.
So he's popped up a couple times. He was saying, I think this was before the fight even happened, that this guy would take the fight at 135. He's like, yeah, fight at 135. He's like, okay. And then Sean goes like, yeah, or UFC told him like, yeah, he won't fight you unless you fight at 145. What? Like we agreed 135, but he was like, whatever. They decided
Yeah,
to fight at a
which
higher weight, which
I'm sure some of these guys when they're fighting in a lower weight class, I'm sure they walk around at like a higher weight, like 10 pounds higher. So that's what
mhm.
they do. They cut. It's like boxers, they'll cut and then load up before the fight or the night before.
Yeah, they're like dehydrated, barely able to walk when they weigh in. And
Yep.
then they eat like all these meals and they're go.
Yep. So that'd be interesting. He's gonna need another fight, like a better fighter though, before he can even consider himself a contender. So,
Hmm.
but that's it for the UFC. We don't generally talk about MMA, UFC, boxing very much. We do watch it, and we probably could talk about it more often. We
Hmm.
probably could, considering how much we do watch the pay-per-views. Not everyone,
Yeah.
but a lot of them. So if that's something you guys are interested in, definitely let us know. We put out, like I said, we put out a poll the other day that ended. I think I had it set for like 9 p.m. right before the actual main
Okay.
events. So I timed it perfectly. It was like up for 4 hours or something like that. So if you guys are interested in that, definitely stay interactive on Twitter with us. We definitely like to post. If you see someone talking shit on the standing room only Twitter, generally it's probably me because I like to not necessarily troll, but I troll the trolls, if that makes sense. Because there's a lot of haters and people who just are, they look for the attention. So it's like, I'm going to give you the attention, but I'm also going to make you feel stupid. So, but definitely stay interactive with us, guys. Make sure you tune in. We may have a finals winner by the next episode. We are recording. This is a Monday episode. Home Run Derby's on. Check it out. Well, actually, by the time you're listening to it, it's over. That's our only pod. That is our Twitter. We're on Instagram. I am iGoose with 4 O's.
Yeah, and I am at the Healy6 on Twitter and Instagram as well. Hope you have a fantastic week, and we'll talk to you all next week.